Good evening, everyone. So this is Harry here, and once again, welcome every one of you to actually come to our second episode of this video series. And now with us is Jason Chong. So just to actually introduce a little bit of him. Hey, Jason, can you say hi to them?
Hi, hello.
Okay, so yeah, I just introduced a little bit of him. Later on, he will describe more about himself. So he's actually an investor and he's the founder of the Bulletwayinvesting. And today, I'm actually privileged to actually invite him to actually share about a secret, secrets of actually a growth investor. Okay, so Jason, why not you actually describe a bit about yourself?
Hi, thanks, Harry. So actually, about me, I'll just do a short description and story of how I actually created this the Bullet Way Investing. So this is a course, and my masterclass is actually known as the Bullet Growth Investing Masterclass. So the course's content is basically teach about how investor can actually use the right way to analyze companies. So why do I actually have this desire to create this course and pass down the knowledge to my community, the people around us, is because that I actually been through not that much as compared to people elder than me, but my family actually been through bankruptcy during the 2008. Okay, my uncles as well, they met this financial difficulties during 1998 and Asian financial crisis. So all of them, there's this one, especially Asian like us, Malaysian family like us, that we have this mindset is to work hard, work really hard. And then, one day we'll be successful. We'll find the right job, we do it, and we just grind over it. And one day we'll be really successful in our industry, correct or not? But a lot of us, especially Asian family like us, we do not have financial management knowledge, right? We do not know how, we work hard for the money, but we didn't actually work hard to manage our money. Okay, we work hard to put all of our money and save it into the bank, and then the bank actually use that money and leverage or borrow it to the lend it to the rich people. And the rich people, they are working hard as well, but they are actually working hard and to think of how to actually make use of the money to grow money. So there's this problem right there. So after believing that this working hard thing doesn't really works if you do not know how to actually work hard for the money as well, in managing the money, basically there's this Chinese verbs called 前功尽弃, we call it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's this economic crisis right now, like 2008, like today, this pandemic, this COVID-19 is also a crisis as well. That is why this year I've created this course to actually pass down this knowledge. When there's this crisis come here, right, it will affect a lot of people in the economy, correct or not? So when it affects economy, when there's a crisis, we also believe that there is an opportunity.
I see. Okay, so wonderful sharing over there. So basically, why you just started investing is because back then, you and your family actually have a financial difficulty back then in a 2008 crisis. And from there, you realize that it's no longer sufficient to actually just work hard, save money, and put in a bank. And hopefully, your savings just grow by true saving. But we all know that due to inflation and etc. And right now, especially during this pandemic, government keep printing money, and it looks like as the money keep printing, so there might be a situation where the currency might become weaker. So that's why it's no longer actually makes sense to actually save more money and just put inside the bank. We should actually think how to actually grow money in another way, which is investing.
Yeah, that's correct, Harry. Because we always believe that cash is actually trash. Cash is just a paper, right? The things that actually create values is things like property, things like business. It actually creates more value to you. It actually brings benefit to the society, right? Property, population is getting higher and higher, so the land is getting lesser and lesser, correct or not? So the value is there, right? So it creates a shelter for people. So there's a value there. But if you talk about cash, it's just a means of exchange. It's just a paper.
See, last
And
time they
there's a
actually mentioned about the
denomination.
system data, right?
Yes. So actually, the one that what if one day cash, because when you talk about the government is keep on printing a lot of money, correct or not? So it means that the money, when there's a huge supply, the money is getting bigger and bigger, but actually the value is lesser and lesser. So
Yes.
one day, what if there's a country get bankrupt, right? We do not know whether it will go bankrupt or not. But what if a country went bankrupt and you are the country citizen? So your money will have no value at all. So what is there still have any value? So the most important asset that we believe is stocks, like companies. Companies will always have value because they deliver services and product that people need, right? It depends on the company as well. So another thing is property as well, like I mentioned. So these two things is the one that actually started long time ago, since the 18th century, 17th centuries. So till today, they are still sustainable. So these are the kind of asset that we actually want to invest and hold on to, right? They are the things that actually grow money for us.
Okay,
So,
good point there.
yeah.
Okay, so I think from what you shared just now, so I think it's cash is just it's a medium for exchange. Means that we actually use cash to actually exchange the thing that we want. So, but if you want to actually compound our wealth more efficiently, we should actually look into investing in stocks and also properties. Okay, so just now you actually mentioned about you invest in stocks, right? But actually, right now, right, there are still, even though there's a pandemic coming here, so then people might say that, oh, now it's actually a huge opportunity to actually invest in the market. But still, but somehow, there are some people who are actually pessimistic over investing in stock market. So, and some of them don't even actually try to understand what is actually stock investing. So, what is your thought on this, and what kind of advice they can actually give them?
Okay. Actually, a lot of people, I want to say this is actually there's a lot of people that do not dare to touch stocks. The main reason I think is maybe due to the 1998 Asian financial crisis, that our elders, our parents, that they've been through this, and there's a lot of things happening back then. A lot of people, lost a lot of money. So our parents always, tell us not to touch stock market investing, not to, Chinese, they call it 炒股票, 炒股票. But
Yes.
this 炒股票 and investing is totally different thing, right? So why most of the people are skeptical? I think the main reason is you don't understand. People don't understand what is investing. People don't understand what is stock market, right? They don't actually understand. I'll give you an idea. It's just like driving a car. So when you are young, right? When you don't have any license, you will think that driving a car is very dangerous, right?
Yes.
Especially when we are little kid. So we do not know. Once you do not know anything, right? You'll be extra careful. You'll be extra skeptical. There's nothing wrong in that, because it's a human nature that we want to protect ourselves. But you see, after you gotten your license, for the first year when you are driving, right, you will use your both hand to hold on the steering, correct or not? When you drive
Yes.
your car. But after a year, maybe the second year, by driving the car using just one hand, right? You know when to
Yeah,
turn,
you're
and
like just so used to it already.
car. Yeah, you know when the car is coming, you know what's happening. Like in investing is exactly the same, because you're not familiar with it, you'll be scared of it. But in investing, it's always about practice, right? I can say in anything in this world that requires where you know when it is called a skill. So when we started investing, there's a huge obstacle in us as well. But if you think that investing is a way that can actually help you to create passive income for you, and it has been proven by a lot of successful people like Warren Buffett, like George Soros, Philip Fisher, Charlie Munger. Every one of them, they have been successful just through one right method, which is investing. So if it is already proven by so many people, that means it works, right? It works. So the only thing that you need to know is to find what way or what methodology that they are using that actually works for you as well.
I
Do
see.
you get what I'm?
Yeah, I
Yes.
actually understand what you mean. So basically, just to summarize what you said just now, so it's most of the people who actually don't dare to actually touch stock market is because maybe back then in 2008, a financial crisis, they without any knowledge, right, without any proper investing knowledge, then they just simply go into the market and then they just invest like gamble. They're actually not investing; they're actually gambling. So that's why they actually get burned, they actually get hurt, and they suffer losses. So, and then you also mentioned just now that if you learn the proper way of investing, right? Because there are actually some people out there like Warren Buffett, George Soros, who actually earn their wealth. Okay, they actually achieve their millions, their billions through investing. So there, there is a correct way of investing, and what we should do is we should actually go and find the proper way and the correct way of investing. So that's why we shouldn't actually ignore this fact. And uh, you also mentioned that right now this is actually the best option, like because right now the stock market has been corrected since the last month, and it actually keep dropping, and recently it actually bounded out a little bit. And a lot of people will actually want to enter in the stock market, like no matter it's a newbies or uh, seasoned investors. And what kind of advice or what kind of suggestions that you can actually give to them, especially for newbies? How can actually a newbie start to invest in stock market?
Mm, okay, I actually have one point is that these words, when there's a crisis, there's an opportunity. So we cannot see when there's a crisis when you just jump into a stock market or jump into any investment. The first thing I would advise any people who want to start investing is to start with protection first, right? Why? Because Warren Buffett has, when investing, right, Warren Buffett has one rule. Okay, the first rule is not to lose any money, right? The second rule is not to forget rule number one. It's also not losing money. So before you start investing, especially at the crisis right now, right? Crisis is a very serious thing. It affects the whole economy, especially like COVID right now. There's a lockdown. We do not know how long this lockdown will be. There, especially a lot of employees, like a few of my friends right now, they have received, unpaid leaves, for 3 months. When there's this kind of situation happening, the first thing that you should do is to protect yourself, right? So you should protect yourself. So you need to have few months of salary, right, to protect for your living expenses, right? You need to have proper insurance like medical insurance to, if there's any, in case of anything happens, you won't go and touch the money, right? For your investment. This is what I advise first. And another thing is how a newbie can actually tap into the market is for a newbie to tap into a market, of course, the most important thing is you need experience, you need the knowledge, right? You need my advice is you should learn from a mentor, or you get a book to get their experience. Because if you want to try out to get practical experience on your own at this time right now, it's very dangerous because you do not know what to do, right? So it's better that you get experience from a mentor that's been in the market, or you get a book that is written by successful people who has been successful in the stock market or any other types of investing, right? So read it, practice it, start small, right? you cannot see when there's this crisis, you want to all in everything. Okay, remove the gambling instinct, especially for Asian people like us. Chinese people like to gamble as well, right? Right.
Yeah.
So this crisis, we want to go all in. You know, a lot of people tell me, wow, a lot of, you know, I don't want to mention any stocks name, but they see, you know, there's this talking about airlines. There's a very famous Asian airlines, right, happening, and the stock price go really low. And there's this gambling company, also the stock price, you know, deep down a lot. But you need to see the fundamentals, whether, you know, there's one thing we believe that there's this verse, we call it cheap might get cheaper. So we don't see stock price, we don't just focus on share price, we focus on the fundamental of the companies. So before you understand this whole concept, especially in this short period of time, we do not know how, when the crisis will end and you bounce back up. But what I will advise people is to, no matter if there's a crisis or not, uh, investing is a good time. There's no good time for investing. There's no good time for investing because there are tens of thousands of companies out there, right? Every companies will have their own best time. Every companies have their own, you know, golden era. Like people as well. People have their own time zone. Some they get successful in 50 years old. Some they get successful in 20 years old. Some they are successful in, you know, 30s or 40. This is same across in the companies as well. So what we need to find as a investor is to spot the golden era. When do they start? When is the starting point of the golden era? So, and every industry as well, they also have their own, you know, small crisis, industry crisis as well over the period. So you do not have to actually worry about missing the crisis, because for me, crisis investment, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Every day there's new opportunity. So the most important thing is to get yourself ready and prepare yourself with enough knowledge and practical experience. So maybe you can start small, like investing maybe $100 or 1,000 ringgit. You know, try to practice what is the experience, what is the feeling of, you know, investing into the market first. I think that's more important right now.
I
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good point there. So, so you actually mentioned that, okay, so for newbie to start, so first of all, they need to form protection, right? So, because right now, things get haywire and then a lot of people are losing jobs, businesses are closing down. So it's actually the most important for them to actually have a protection to actually prevent them from having a financial difficulties. So that's why they need to have savings at least, and also insurance to actually protect them. And the second thing is to actually learn, okay, learn how to invest and don't go into the market without any knowledge. So one of it is to invest in courses, attend course, or find mentors to actually improve yourself first. Then only you can enter the stock market, and you can always start with just a little bit of capital to actually get some experience in the stock market. And from
Yes.
there, from getting experience, then you become better, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Another point I want to add on is aside from getting protection, I think the best time right now is to clear your debt. You know, if you have any debt, the best time right now is to, you know, lower down your debt first before you go into investing. I think that's a more wise way to manage your money, because if you be able to manage the debt everything right now, you do not have any responsibility for the, you know, for your debt, and you wouldn't have to worry so much first, right? Because right now it's a very headache thing if you do not have the capability to manage your debt and to pay off your debt, but you go to, you know, invest all your monies into the stock market or properties, you will have a huge problem in the cash flow. You have a huge cash flow problem. So that's another thing that I would advise to, you know, if you are paying off the debt right now, it's an instant gain. You know, it's an instant gain, right? If you are
yeah,
able to pay off your credit card, it's an instant 18% gain as well, right? So you have to think that way.
Yeah. That's a good point there. So getting off the debts, especially right now, is very important. And uh, and I realize that right now, those people who actually have a lot of debts, right, not only apply to individual, but also with companies as well, who actually have a lot of debts in their balance sheet. So they will also suffer during this coronavirus pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why it's a
So
mm,
so another thing that when we look into a company, we always look back into the fundamentals of company. So
yeah,
at a crisis right now, uh, at a crisis right now, we want to rule out companies with huge debt, with bad cash flow management. So this is the first and more foremost, the most important criteria that we are looking at. Companies with huge debt, especially in the airline industry, especially in the construction industry, uh, there will be a huge problem if you do not manage it well. If you know to sustain your debt payment, or to extend your loan, then it will be a huge problem. So
yeah,
that's what I would like to advise us personally as well, right? So we need to manage ourselves first before we manage companies. Before we manage our investment, we need to manage ourselves first.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, always manage ourselves first, right, before actually investing, right? Okay, so just now you actually mentioned about fundamentals and stock price, right? So you actually mentioned that there is actually this thing called stock price, and there's actually this thing called business value, or we call it a fundamental, right? So right now, you also mentioned that it's actually important for us to actually look into the fundamentals. So I believe this is actually one of the key criteria for you to actually select good companies to invest. And I believe just now one of the criteria that you mentioned is you actually like company with a low debt, or best is no debt at all. So besides this, what are the criteria, right? What are the other criteria that you should look into before you actually decide to invest in that company?
Okay. For 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 my point of view, I always believe that from my experience. So I always believe that in when you look into fundamentals, it is not only about numbers, right? It's not about only about accounting, because especially a lot of people out there, when they comes into the stock market, the first thing they will always focus on is the numbers, and they will try a lot of different kind of ratio to crunch numbers. But I'm more into a qualitative investing person. I will usually focus more on the quality of the management. How people are actually managing the companies, because companies for us is actually a business. A company is actually a shell, right? It's a shell that is managed by humans inside. So all the things of the world, right? Humans is the most difficult to manage,
Yes, correct.
right?
Yes,
So if we want to invest into a companies that is managed by human, we would need to be able to trust that person, correct or not?
yes,
If we want to put our money into the company, we will need to be able to trust on that person. So we always focus on the quality of the management. And of course, if we look into numbers, right, the first and foremost thing is what I mentioned is the debt. And of course, the next thing is cash, because cash is king. So usually when we look into companies, we will focus onto the cash flow, whether the company has enough cash flow to sustain the business in the future, whether the company have enough cash flow to sustain its debt, right? Or even sustain its expansion. That's even better. Or even the company has any future free cash flow or not, right? To
yes.
to grow, or to acquire companies at this time of crisis when they have extra cash, and facing other competitors who do not have cash. So what do you think this will happen? The one that have cash might actually survive in this market. The one that do not have cash actually might, die, or be eliminated from the market, or even being acquired by these companies that has cash. So the most important thing is to how I actually spot these companies that has a lot of cash. So when this company has a lot of cash, we need to look into the quality of the management. How good the management is going to manage. How good are they in managing the cash flow of the company, or using the cash of the company that they have. So these are the things that we need to look at.
I
Right.
see. Okay. So just now you mentioned that you actually look into not only for numbers but also into qualitative matters, which is you actually look into the management, right? Because a company needs a good management to actually run it. Because if the management is not good, so no matter how good their numbers is, even if it's good, with bad management, the number will actually even eventually will turn out bad as well. And also you also mentioned that not only debt, but also you also focus on cash flow, right? Cash flow is their, like just like us lah, we actually have our income to come in, that's our cash flow. So for business as well, they actually need a cash flow to actually sustain their operation and etc. Right? And yeah, so is there any other criteria that you're actually looking in when analyzing companies besides management and also numbers?
Of course, we cannot miss out. One thing is the companies, getting money from the customers. How willingly the customers are paying them. How good are the quality? How good is the quality of the service? That there's a lot of criteria actually. Not just the management, and not just numbers. Numbers can be crunched. Numbers can be edited, right? You if you know what I
Yeah.
mean, in this,
Yes, yes,
especially
yes.
in this,
Yeah.
right? Uh, so so don't trust too much on the numbers. The most important thing is if you can trust on the person. So in my courses as well, we do teach about how actually we can, besides integrity in a person, how can we actually spot, different criteria of management. How do they do things actually? How do they actually treat people? All these are important criteria that we need to spot, right? So for the business as well, we need to look into business that is sustainable, right? We do not want sunset business, right? We want business that is rising from the sun, right?
Yes.
Growing business, growing industry. That's what we want to look into, right? Of course, when they are growing, they must be sustainable as well, right?
Yes.
Because when there's a growing industry, a lot of people will try to, tap into the market and do the same thing. But when there's a lot of people doing it, what we want to do as an investor is to find the winner, the champion in that industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I see.
So
That's a good point there.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, so you also mentioned about looking into the business, right? The business itself, right? So whether it's a sunset business or whether it's a growing business, and when there is a market or when there's an industry, there are actually too many players getting in, and there are more competitions going on. So you should actually identify the winners of the industry and you actually invest in them, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think, and then another one is you actually mentioned about the integrity of the management, which I think is also it's a good point over there. So it's a very important as well. And
Yes.
like I actually sometimes okay, just to go back to the question between the fundamentals and the stock price, I realize that most of people, right, they actually focus a lot on the stock price. Means that whenever they want to invest, right, they always look at the stock price. Oh, when the stock price at this point, oh, it's very cheap now, then we should actually just go inside, right? They just go inside, and then what they focus is just the capital gain, right? The difference in the stock price, then that's how they earn the money, right? But you're actually mentioning about what you call the fundamentals, which is the business value itself. So how do you actually how do you actually categorize between this stock price and also the business value? So as a value investing, we always focus on the fundamentals. but there are still people outside who actually focus a lot on the stock price. So what is your take on this?
Okay, my take on this is when one do not actually understand the whole thing about investing, there's before when I introduced about myself, I talk about investing, and actually, you know, people that is speculating in the market is different. So investing is you actually look into the business itself. You focus on the business. So even though the company is delisted from the market, and when there's no more share price, so or there's let's just say if there's this investing thing into just private companies and there's no existence of the public companies, how would you actually invest?
You actually
You
look
actually
in, yeah,
do
need to look
business
into what
itself,
they're
right?
doing, right?
Yes. And whenever there's an owner, they want to ask us to invest in the company, to ask us to partner with the person, we need to look into the person, right? Whether we can trust that person or not, correct or not?
Yes.
We're doing traditional business like our parents. So it is the same thing actually. But because there's this share price, the existence of this share price, a lot of people will focus on the share price instead of the fundamental of the business. And there's when you as investor, I'm not saying that we shouldn't focus on the share price, but share price be the least focus, should be the least focus factor, because share price is affected by a lot of factors. The first thing is sentiment, right? Sentiment, when there's a good news, it will go up. When there's a bad news about the companies, it actually go down. But do you think it actually makes sense by actually, you know, just relying on news and, you know, just making money out of news, but the business is not actually growing?
Doesn't make sense.
So so for us, we usually buy into companies that even there's no share price movement, we know that one day even the company is delisted, the amount of money that we are getting back is more than growing.
Yeah.
So if you just invest based on share price, let me tell you what's the sense of share price. For a piece of cake, that ringgit, right? If you cut it to 4 pieces, how much is the cake per pieces? Like 2 ringgit, correct or not? If
Yes,
you cut
correct.
it into 8 pieces, it is 16 pieces, 50 cents, correct or not? So it
Yes,
is
correct.
exactly the same as share price. Share price is just a whole company, you cutting it into small pieces. But the overall, the whole company, the value is still 8 ringgit. You
Yes.
always look back into business. Maybe if the company is actually having this company is earning 8 ringgit, correct or not? So there's you can actually identify that there is a worth in this company. So what if this company it is selling for 8 ringgit, but the sales is actually only 50 cent for the whole company? So
So
even
it's
though you're buying the whole company, you're actually getting 50 cent out of it only. So there's
yeah.
no value, right? So this is we always focus back into the business. So even though there's no stock market, even the company is delisted, what we get back, we are still, you know, be better off, right? We are still better off as compared to what we invested before, right? That's what we should focus on.
Yeah, I also agree with you. Yeah. So stock price actually is just a price that actually moves up and down, right? As you mentioned just now, the cake cut into four, into eight, right? They actually that's divided. So the movement of the share price is actually governed by a lot of things like sentiments, uh, like market force and everything, right? But the business
Yes.
value is the one that actually will ensure the longevity and also the sustainability of the business. So in a very, very good sense, if the business continues to do well and actually have a lot of continuous good earnings, right? So the investor will actually get more confident and they will invest more in the company. So eventually the stock price will actually go alongside with as the business value increase. So
Yes.
it's what I believe as well. Yeah. So and then yeah. So you have been investing for quite some time. So can you actually share with us what are the obstacles that you face throughout the years during your investing journey?
I think there's a lot of obstacle in investing. That's why I always advise people that when you are new in investing, the first thing is to get enough practical experience and knowledge from a mentor, from people who are experienced. So if you are new like me, or even I've been through courses as well. When I want to, whenever, even though I have a lot of knowledge in investing, attending a lot of courses, read a lot of books. When it comes to real life investing, you will face obstacle. What is the first and foremost obstacle is conviction and taking action, right?
Yeah.
So even though you find a good company and you know it's good, everyone say it's good, the fundamental is good, the management is good, everything is good. The only problem that you are facing right now is when you open your broker account, you key in the stock and you wouldn't click buy. That's your obstacle.
Yeah,
It's
mentally,
the
right?
hardest thing to do, right? It's the hardest thing to do in investing is to manage your emotion. It's not about your knowledge in investing. It's not about how good are you in finding good companies. It's always how good are you taking action, how good are you in convicting, achieving what you want to achieve, right? But it's just a simple like clicking the mouse button to buy when you find a company. So
Yeah.
that's the largest obstacle. Even until time today, I still need to read back the contents that my mentor taught me. I still need to read back a lot of books to remind myself from time to time, because especially in a time like this crisis, there's this pandemic. You have a thoughts like you will fear it will go down some more, right? And
Yes.
then when the economy, like you said recently, it bounced back up, and you will say, "Ah, yeah, I miss it. I should buy lah. I should buy that time." Then if it go down some more, you will say, "Ah, yeah, I know it will go down some more. So it's right for me to wait." But let me tell you one thing: in investment, there's no right time. Like what I mentioned, there's no right time. The most important thing is to take action, and to take action with strategy. That's more important. How you strategize your buying strategy, how you actually strategize your selling strategy. That's more important,
I see.
right?
Okay.
When
Yeah.
you buy with strategy, then yeah, you know how you'll be better off, on average, right?
I see. Wow, that's a good point over there. So what you mentioned just now is the conviction and also the psychology behind investing, right? You can actually learn a lot of knowledge about investing, but at the end of the day, I also heard someone saying that it's not the, of course, knowledge is important, but most of the time it's our emotion that actually will decide how well we will do in our investing journey. How so, and what is our conviction towards that company, right? So when the share price keeps going down, are we there enough to actually add in more when the share price drop? So this is also one question that we should ask. And also, you also mentioned about timing market, because I also realized that a lot of people out there they are trying to time the market. They always think that when the share price go down, then it will just keep going down. Somehow, pandemic, very worse. A lot of companies, a lot of countries they are actually having lockdown. Share price gonna crash, economy gonna crash. A lot of people like keep timing up, and now when they actually the market actually come out, they say, yeah, like I somehow you just can't time the market, right?
So recently we have written a book called me and my partners, two of my partners actually written a book called COVID-19 Investing Secrets. Inside there we'll also talk about, we actually try to, squeeze our time and, write this book in a very short period of time so that we can actually catch up to the market and, deliver this content to the community. I believe, Terry, you have also seen our content, right? See our book. in a website, if not mistaken. So in this book, we actually covers like how do we actually take action, right? When especially in a time like this, a lot of people will try to time the market. But let me tell you one thing: we are not God. This is the first thing. We cannot know the future. So don't try to predict the future. When we always try to control things that we cannot control, means the external forces, things that we cannot control. And we always mistakes in trying to control things outside of our control, and we did not actually pay attention to the things that we can control. Things that we can control is actually how we actually manage ourselves, like what I said, actually manage your debt, how you actually when you try to prepare a nice watch list with great companies. When there's a crisis, you know that this company will actually survive. The companies that actually have enough cash flow to survive or to actually acquire their competitors and become number one at this time of crisis, this time of golden opportunity for them. So these are the things that you can actually do, right? So when the crisis come, you just buy with strategy, right? When you buy with strategy, you wouldn't care that when is the lowest bottom, right? You can actually average your buying price over the time, right? Buying down or buying up. There are a few strategy, right? In my courses, actually, I always teach my students there are 7 buying strategy as well, right? There are different type of strategy, but it depends on different situation. So the most important thing is, always prepare yourself, right? Always prepare yourself before the things happen.
There's a good point over there. So we should never actually time the market, because timing market is actually futile, right? So we, like when you say just now, we are actually not God. We won't actually know how the market will go. We can't actually predict, right, like how the people will actually behave, right, in the market. So it's more important for us to actually, instead of focus on things that we cannot control, right, we should actually focus on things that we can control, right? For example, like manage our debts, manage our financial situation, create our own watch list to actually invest when it actually hits, okay, the share price that we want to actually buy. So these are the things that we should actually focus on instead of focus on timing the market. This is a very good advice there. And also just now you actually mentioned about you actually publishing a book, right? So can you actually explain more about what this book is actually talking about?
Okay, this book, me and my 2 partners, we write it together. So we start this book with a content of about a lot of people, like actually what you mentioned. A lot of people try to find the most bottom in the market, right? So we covered this in the market, like how we actually take action, how we actually manage our emotion during especially this kind of pandemic. So that's why we call our book COVID-19 Investing Secrets. So this book is to cater for the people. We believe that there are a lot of people, especially in the market, will be get hit by this. A lot of people have their portfolio from green turning to red, and there are some people, they are they do not know what to do about it. Okay, so a lot of people, and there's another group of people is that they see this crisis and they know it is an opportunity, but they do not know how to take action for this opportunity. So this book is to cater for them as well. The first thing we talk about how to take action, how to manage our emotions, and we talk about the economy in Malaysia, right? The economy in Singapore, in the US as well. Like if when there's this crisis, there's this pandemic, what will it happen, right, in the next 6 months, right? What might happen in the next 6 months, and how you should take action, right? What countries you should focus at. So these are the things that we mentioned, and at the last part as well, we also disclose five companies that is in our top watch list, right? So we know that crisis will come. We do not know when. So for me, I've been waiting crisis since 2015, right? I've been waiting for 4 years, but I'm not sitting on a huge pile of cash, right? That's why I said there's no perfect timing. So if I wait for crisis since 2015 until today, right, I've been sitting on a pile of cash, but not making any
Yeah,
incomes
not doing
from
nothing, right? Yeah.
doing thing. So over the time, even though there's no crisis, there will be small crisis, or there will be small industry crisis that you can take opportunity on. Or some great companies, they might make mistakes, right? They might make mistake from time to time because people is not perfect. So when they make mistakes, the most important thing is, are they able to, you know, minimize these mistakes and to correct this mistake and improve again. So when there's this mistake, the share price will go down and it hits my right price, I will buy in. So these are the things that what we need to do as an investor, right? So in our book, right, we actually cover about emotions, about the past economy stories, the past, the present, and the future, right? What will happen across the economy? What might happen, right? Of course, at the back we will disclose the 5 companies, and we will talk about why we look into these companies. Okay, we in the business aspect, we talk about the business aspect, we talk about the trend aspects, we talk about the management aspects as well. So these are the things that we covered. And I think this book is really good, especially for Malaysian right now. There's this lockdown and it has been extended to April 28th. So it has a lot of a free time, a time for you to develop a new habits, right? So before you start investing, you know, into the market, I think this book is a guide for you to prepare yourself emotionally and physically in taking action.
Yeah, good one there. So I actually bought your book, you know. I actually bought your book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Right.
So and
Really.
yeah, so actually, right, for those who actually I mean, who has been investing for a while or who are new, right, want to start to invest, right? So this book, right, is actually a book for you, right? Because as Jason mentioned just now, it actually contains every single step and every single guidelines for you to actually start investing, and probably some uh, you also touch a little bit not only about the fundamental parts, but also a bit about the emotional part, and also a little bit of the macroeconomics, right? So this book is actually very, very good, and I highly recommend this book to every one of you, right? So later on, I will actually post a link, right, to you, okay, to actually get his book, right? Yeah. So so Jason, how can actually my audience to actually reach you? Yeah.
Um, Actually, you can share my Instagram, or I will share my contact number for you, and you can share it to your audience. So if you have any questions regarding investment, I will be always happy. If it is under my capability, I'm happy to help anytime. So if people is interested in my course as well, I'll, you know, because of Harry invited me today, maybe I'll give a special offer for the people that
Oh
is interested in
yes, thank you.
right?
Wow.
So, so we will discuss that with Harry, and I'll give the details to Harry, right? So because yeah, I appreciate everything Harry does for me, especially today. Thanks for inviting me, right? Thanks for inviting me to, you know, to
Okay.
share my opinion with others, right? I appreciate it
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, yeah. Good thing. Yeah. Today, your sharing is absolutely. I believe it's a very valuable to every one of you here. Very beneficial, right? Yeah. So yeah. So so later on, for those who actually want to actually know more on the book, and also his investing course, which is the bullet way investing. So I will actually put a link to actually to describe more about this course, and also probably I will put your Facebook page, or for example your Instagram. Yeah, later on you can actually share with me, and I can actually share with my audience as well. Yeah. So so I believe that I think now it's okay. So thank you, Jason, for your wonderful sharing tonight.
Harry,
Today.
thanks.
Yeah. So I hope every one of you can actually learn as much as possible from Jason. He's the one of the investor that I actually admire the most. You know. Yeah.
Thanks,
So
thanks, thanks.
hopefully everyone can get benefits from it. So thank you, Jason.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Thank you for
everyone.
having me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
See you all next
Yeah.
time. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.